It's Monday, and this is my first video blog. You know, I was thinking today just about the ministry and all the different demands and things that pastors have on their lives. And you know, the ministry has a lot of phenomenal things about it. It also has a lot of things that are very challenging. I really believe the ministry, being a pastor, is on one hand set up for failure. It is set up for burnout. In other words, just think about the speaking that the pastors have to do. Week in and week out, we're speaking before a large group of people, and we have to come up with something that is biblical, that is fresh, that is creative, that's unique, and just the whole speaking aspect of ministry just by itself is enough to totally, I think, fry you emotionally and physically. So many pastors I talk to, so many speakers, when you really begin to go deep with them and find out about their lives, they usually have some sort of a physical ailment or some challenge that they deal with. And I think it's probably the cumulative effect of speaking so often. So you got the speaking thing. You know, on top of that, being a pastor, you have just the stress and anxiety of leading something. And when we lead something, yeah, some of us have paid staffs and all that, and that's fine and dandy. Yet we also lead an army of people that we can't fire, that we can't dock their pay. They're volunteers. So there's a lot of stress in that. So the speaking thing, the leading thing, and then the whole financial thing as well. We're responsible every year. We're the main one that raises money. You know, I call pastor the franchise player because we're the ones who are responsible before God for raising money. And every year, we've been going here for about 17 years. Every year, you know, I've stared a lot of money in the face, and I know at the end of the day, it's up to me to raise that money, whether it's in the early days thousands and it moved to hundreds of thousands, and now it's many millions of dollars. So that's a taxing thing. I think being in the fishbowl too is something else that causes a lot of turmoil. People watching you, where you go, you know, what kind of car you drive, where you live, where you vacation. I think that's interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a job, an occupation, where you have that many things to process and to deal with. Then, furthermore, to have a great marriage and to keep your kids in order and thriving. It's just difficult. So I really understand why so many of us deal with burnout, depression, and other problems. And throughout the Old and New Testament, you see people who were called of God, people who were in the ministry, who did lead. It definitely took a toll. So I think we need to along the way, smell the coffee or the espresso. We need to take time away to disengage and just to listen to God and just to eat, to rest, and to play, and to recalibrate. And I'm sort of at the end of a long run for me. You know, I've been running pretty hard. Lisa and I have, and our family has, since really back in the fall. I've not taken as much time off this last season as I should, and I can really tell it is taking a toll on me. I think sometimes when I began not to look forward to things that maybe used to bring me joy, I even like fishing, for example, or something like that, I tend not to look as forward to doing that or thinking about that as much. And that's probably a sign where I need to draw away and pull back. But over the last several weeks, I've just been thinking about that. And you know, I think what churches need to do is churches need to step up and pay their staff well, pay their senior pastor well enough where this person can vacation with the family, where they can draw away, take sabbaticals regularly, because this thing is a triathlon. People call it a marathon. It's not a marathon, it's a triathlon, because you gotta run, cycle, and swim. And really, it's like ultimate fighting, if you want the cold truth. But I think churches need to step up and understand the role and the burn and the grind that the ministry is, and grant people and give them time off. I think they need to be compensated well enough to be able to take time off. Because how do you build a marriage in the midst of speaking every weekend? You're preparing, you're anticipating it, you're delivering it, and then you're recovering from it. How do you build a marriage in the midst of trying to raise all the money? How do you build a marriage with everyone looking at you? How do you build a marriage with so many different temptations that are out there for everyone's taking? It's a struggle, and that's why Scripture says our battles aren't really against flesh and blood. They're against principalities and the demonic forces that wreak havoc. So to do that, we need to present ourselves as a living sacrifice before God, but also we need to present ourselves refreshed and engaged and open and ready to do business. But so often, we're so busy doing God's business that we forget to allow God to do business in our lives, and that's what the challenge is for my life and for every pastor's life. But I just don't think there's any position like being in the ministry. There's phenomenal joy in it. It's all good, the opportunities that we have to influence people, to get to know so many different people, to see God move and work, and to build and to develop things, whether it be buildings and programs, and it's really just a great thing. But I just find myself today knowing that it's time for me to disengage and to take some time to relax. And I want to challenge you to do that as well. But I think it's important for us to think about those drains, those things in the ministry that accumulate. Because when you're younger, 20s and 30s, you don't really think about it. You think you can take it on and take on more and more and more. But one day, no matter who you are, you can feel the effects. So it's good preventative work to take time off and to recondition yourself for this triathlon. So anyway, it's Monday morning, and I'm here at the church. Just I've been on the phone talking, relaxing, and I just wanted to share this with you in this inaugural video blog.